Welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are joined today by Donna Louis. Miss Louis is a retired U.S. Army Sergeant First Class. She is the first African-American female paratrooper from the state of Michigan. Ooh, okay, all right. You have to tell us about how you became a paratrooper, ma'am. Just
This is amazing.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here and talk with your audience. But it's kind of a long, strange story, and I'm trying to write my autobiography about it.
Ooh.
But I tried to get. I was on the welfare, and I tried to get in training programs. That didn't pan out. Then I tried to get on the Detroit police force and wound up going through the process, but the academy shut down, and the black police officers and white police officer went like this, and was a riot. They shut the whole academy down.
Wow.
So that went south. So one day, and I'm writing about this because this is very spooky. I was getting ready to go downtown. Was going to take the bus to go downtown. I had 2 bus tickets in my pocket. I had no money, and I had a little old tiny jacket to my waist. It was cold, and the snow was about 2 feet deep or deeper. Ice on the street, everything. So I had 2 bus tickets, one to go downtown, one to come back. Well, I'm standing at the bus stop, and the next thing I know, something pushed me hard into the middle of the street.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
Now, I turned around to see who was back there, and there was nothing. There was nobody. So, because I'm ready to fight, okay? In the meantime, and I'm in the middle of the street, here come a bus going in the opposite direction. Something said, get on that bus. I got on the bus, and I got off in front of the Army recruiting station when the little voice told me, get off right here.
Okay.
So I got off, and I walked into the Army recruiter station, and I told one of the recruiters in there I wanted to join the reserves, and he looked at me and told me, no, you don't. You want to join the regular Army.
How old were you?
Right.
26.
Okay.
So that's how it started, and it goes on from there. But it was divine intervention that wound up me taking that path to the military.
So how long were you in the service before you became a paratrooper?
Right away.
Really?
When I went to MEPS after MEPS is the what is
military exam process or something. The
right. Building. Where they put you in the Army, you go through your physical, you see the counselor, you have your testing. All that is now called MEPS. It used to be called
military process.
Right. It used to be called Military Processing Center or something like that.
Okay.
So when I got down there, and I passed my test for everything. My lowest exam was for electronics, and I made a 96 on that. Oh. So I had passed all the areas on the ASVAB test. But the military was conducting an experiment. They were putting women into the paratroopers. They had decided the way women are built, with our hips being wider than a man, that we were aerodynamically built.
We'll take that word.
Aerodynamic, or
something like that. We were, in other words, the way we were built, going through the air with our hips and everything, we could fall better than a man could
Oh.
because his hips are
Oh,
narrow.
wow.
Okay.
So somebody decided that they were gonna, try women.
Mm-hmm.
And the counselors told me, okay, you want to make $55 extra per month. And of course I said, yes, I had 2 little girls. I
Yes.
said, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they said, well, come on, the counselor going to talk to you. And the only job that they had then where women were paratroopers was a parachute rigger.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the quartermaster corps, because a parachute rigger works with supplies, rigging supplies up to over enemy lines to make sure that soldiers have their food and everything.
Okay.
So that's basically what a rigger is.
So
But
the rigger's getting the jumper ready.
yeah, so
Okay.
you have to be airborne qualified just to be a rigger,
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot rig up parachutes for other soldiers
Unless you know how to jump.
unless you jump. Okay. All right. So I had to go through, I took the job
Mm-hmm.
and I had to go through a rigorous physical exam because it was so new then. They had to test your heart and they had to test your endurance and all that kind of stuff. So there were about, I guess maybe there were about 8 women that went through as I did.
Mm-hmm.
And they cleared me and they said I could go through the training. So that's how I wound up as a paratrooper.
And it was how many women with you? 8?
There was, I'd say about 8. It was a long time ago. There wasn't very many. There weren't 10 women in there. There was about 8. They were from all over the United States.
And you were the only Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Was I the only way? I think there was 2 others.
Okay. You were the only one from Michigan. Only Black woman from
Yes,
Michigan.
the only one from Michigan. There were 2 others.
So speak to how you were inducted into the museum. Tell our listeners about that special occasion.
Okay. So I went to the museum just to look around.
And this is the Charles H. Wright African American Historical Museum in Detroit, Michigan.
Right, exactly. So I just went there to, go on the tour like everybody else. And then they have a photographer there who likes to take pictures for a little bit of money when you come in. And you could stand there at the statue or the bust of Charles H. Wright and take a picture. So that's what I did. So the photographer was talking to me, chatting with me like we are now. And I told him, and he said, wait just a minute. So he went and got the curator. The curator came down to talk to me, and I got to talking to her and told her who I was, blah, blah, blah. And I had been in, Mayor Young had given me an award, and my godmother was the president of Detroit City Council, and all of that. I didn't think that was such a big deal. But when I got through talking to her, she called me up to her office and made an appointment for me to come in and do a recording with them. So I did that. I did the recording, and they were interviewing me just like you are. And then when I went in, it was the Women's Army Corps. It was still the WACs.
Okay.
It was the last company of the WACs. So my uniform, my raincoat, my overcoat, everything was 1940 style.
Wow.
Oh.
And what year was this?
I went in 70. I was inducted in the Army in 76.
Okay. But they still had uniforms going back from the 40s.
Yeah, because all the WACs uniforms were 1940 style.
Wow.
My company was the last of the WACs.
Okay.
Then they went into all volar.
Well, no, what is that?
Well, I know Kat knows, but all volar means all volunteer.
Okay.
Okay. And then the women and men were separated. Now they don't separate them. They all live in the same. I don't like that, but that's what they do. So our uniform, our uniforms were different.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to talking to them and they asked me what was I going to do with my uniforms, I said, well, keep them, I guess. And they said, we would like to have them in the museum.
Wow.
So I donated my uniforms to the museum. And so so they have my cords. They call them cords then. They had, back in the 1940s when they had shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm.
So those uniforms had shoulder pads.
Oh.
Yeah. So
wow.
They have my cords. They have my raincoat. And my raincoat had the headdress for the raincoat was called a havelock. When you put it on, you look like a nun. It had a little bib. It came over your head. It came down, draped down over your back. And that's it. And so they have my raincoat. They have my havelock. They have my Class B cords. And I think they have a couple of my latest utility uniforms, my BDUs. We call them BDUs. So they have a few of that. They have my hat. They have my beret. My very first beret I got after I got out of jump school. They have that.
Oh, wow.
Now it's in a.
Was it still marine? I mean, Donna, was it a maroon color? Because I had one too.
Yes.
Okay, get out.
But see, back then, only paratroopers wore that beret. Now they've changed the headdress, and all the soldiers wear it. And your unit is identified by the patch. Correct. But see, then, if I wasn't a paratrooper, I would have wore the pot hat that the female soldiers wore in their Class A's. But because I was a paratrooper, I wore that beret all the time. And I wore jump boots. I actually had somebody, when I was on my way to Korea, I had a guy, believe me, I had a whole bunch of trouble when I was a paratrooper, when I was in my uniform from men.
Really?
This guy wanted me to take off my uniform and put on civilian clothes because he told me he ain't never seen a female paratrooper, and I was wearing jump boots just like the men. He wanted me to.
So he didn't care that you was
and I had
that you was black. He was mad that you was a woman.
Well, yeah, and see that happened a lot. And I had my orders with me. He could see that I was a paratrooper, so
he didn't want to hear it.
We actually had to go get his colonel.
Wow.
Because he was not going to let me on the airplane.
So did he outrank you? Like he just didn't recognize your rank, or how did that work?
No, I had on my rank and everything. It didn't come into play. What it was is that at that time, they don't do it too much anymore. At that time, they had sort of like a courtesy patrol. And that was their job, to make sure you were well dressed, your uniform looked good, you had on the proper uniform, it didn't look a mess, because you were going to be traveling overseas on a government contract plane.
Representing the United States.
Right. And that was their job, is to go around, make sure everybody was okay. Wait a minute, this hat. What the hell?
That's fine.
So
you beautiful girl, you beautiful queen.
So to answer your question, that's how I became inducted into the museum. And I used to tell people, they got an exhibit on me in the museum, but I didn't know that it was a private exhibit. You have to ask to see it, because Charles H. Wright, that was his lifelong dream. have that museum. And his big thing was having the exhibit of the slave ships and all of that. And a lot of the schools go and people go there to look at that. But it takes up, once you go in that museum into the door, the whole right side of that building is dedicated to slave ships and, chains and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And the museum doesn't have that much room.
Okay. So where's your exhibit at?
Somewhere they put it in. She said they had to put it somewhere that had where it was hermetically sealed.
Okay.
It didn't get a lot of air, so it wouldn't mold it. So you have to ask them specifically to see the exhibit, my uniforms and stuff like that. You have to ask them to see that.
Okay.
And you have the write-up and everything though, don't you? Because I would love to be able to post that and show our listeners the actual ceremony and so forth.
I didn't have a ceremony. I just took stuff down there and I had to give them how much it was worth for their insurance. Thing. So what I do have is I have the letters when they took my stuff in. I have all of that, but there wasn't a paper write-up or anything like that.
Or a ceremony.
No, anything like that. So that's how that played. And then I think they do have the articles when I was in the Detroit News, the Michigan Chronicle, the Free Press, the Jet Magazine, and I think they have the pictures of me getting that award from the mayor.
So there was some fanfare.
That's what I was about to say. You have your news clippings that you share. So what are those articles that you share with individuals who want to learn more about you? What are those articles? Was those a free press?
Yeah, I actually have them printed up. You remember when I handed that roll of paper to that congresswoman?
Yes, ma'am.
All of it was printed out. I gave it to her because she said she was going to see Alyssa Slotkin. And I said, well, here, take this. Because Alyssa doesn't know who I am. She's a congresswoman from Michigan, but she doesn't know who I am.
Okay.
So I don't know what she did with it, but I have it all printed up here. If you guys want it, I'll make sure you get copies of it and all that kind of stuff. So
absolutely, so people can read about you, girl, because you made some huge strides and you overcame a lot of challenges in the military. So you spoke of one incident where a gentleman wanted you to remove your uniform, put on civilian clothes and whatnot. He didn't want to recognize you as a paratrooper, with what you earned. But what are some things that you know now that has improved from when you were in the military in the 70s and so forth? What do you see now for our brave women and men in the armed forces today?
Oh, a lot. And people have told me, I don't believe it, but people have told me that myself and a few of the other women paved the way for these other women coming along.
But you say you don't believe that?
We didn't know that.
Somebody told you that, huh?
We didn't know that. But what's changed now is that women are allowed to go to Ranger training. And Ranger training is very special. Even the men have to, it's very difficult training. It's like the SEALs, the Navy SEALs.
Okay.
And women can do that. Now, I wanted to be a Pathfinder.
Now, what is a Pathfinder?
Okay, I'm going to tell you. A Pathfinder is one who has extreme navigation skills.
That would
they
not
can
be
set up maps. You give them a map. They can prepare a drop zone. They can prepare a road for combat soldiers to come in. And they send you to a school to learn how to use a compass, how to count your steps, the measurements, how to read a map, a topographical map, or any other kind of map. To set up
terrain,
terrain, yes. and to set up maybe a DZ for soldiers to be dropped in, or to set up a area like a missile launching pad or something like that. Now, my navigational skills are beyond, I mean, I think the Lord must have blessed me with it because I'm very good.
Okay.
And I wanted to go. Women could not go. They would not let women in Pathfinder school. So I think now they're allowing women to do a lot of things that were non-traditional roles for women back then. Because the only thing that was allowed when I came in was the parachute rigger.
Okay.
Wow.
That was it.
Did you have a mentor to help navigate you through the process once you joined in the military? I mean, you meeting all these new people, going to different places, not getting the support you need just because you are a woman. Did you have any mentors that helped you along the way to overcome those challenges?
No.
So
Girl.
now, are you how long were you in the service?
20 years in 3 months.
20 years, 3 months. And during those 20 years, how many women did you take under your wing to help say, okay, nobody did this for me, so let me do this for these younger sisters coming in?
Well, a few, not too many, because I was in the airborne department at Fort Lee, Virginia. Most of the girls that I had in my platoon were for rigger school. The rest of them, because we're at Fort Lee, where I was at, is a quartermaster post.
Okay.
Or they were in graves registration. They learned how to pack up bodies, you know, all of that for autopsies. That comes under quartermaster corps. Or they were in supply or something like that. So I was a platoon sergeant. So as a platoon sergeant, these girls were just young trainees. And believe you me, I had some girls in there that should not have been in the military. So I had to kind of work with them. And then I had one girl whose father was a colonel. And she was the biggest crybaby you ever. Lord have mercy, that girl.
Wait, Donna, did you call a girl a crybaby? Come on now.
No, I didn't call her. But look, let me tell you.
Not to her face.
She hurt her foot. And so she would, oh, my foot. So do you know that girl had other girls in the platoon carrying her?
Oh, wow.
I said, oh, heck no. We're not having that. So I said, do you have crutches? Yes, Sergeant. I said, you better get them crutches. Them girls are not going to carry you. So I used to stay in her behind a little bit. Now, I know what the question you asked me. And no, I did not break because I was around trainees. I was training.
All the time.
So, anyway, we had to go home on holiday or something. Everybody went home on holiday. And then she came back. Her father called me. Now, he's a full bull colonel. He called me and he said, I'd like to talk to you, Sergeant Davis. I was Davis then. And I said, yes, sir. What? He said, I don't know what you did to my daughter, but she has changed completely.
Wow.
He said, she is more independent. And he said, whatever you've been doing, keep doing it.
She needed some tough love.
And I was like that because some of the girls would come to me because the students, now the parachute rigger students, have to jump. They have to jump for each phase they go through. They have to pack their parachutes and they have to jump out of an airplane. Well, I got some girls come in. Oh, I've got cramps. Oh,
not the cramps. Not cramps.
I kid you not. And see, this is what makes the other the men resent women.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, "Oh, you got cramps, huh?" Yes. I said, "You got a note from the doctor?" "No, I just thought I'd come and tell you." I said, "You don't have a note from the doctor, and you don't have a profile, which is a thing.
Correct.
Look, oh, well, what am I going to do? I can't jump today." I said, "Yes, you can." I opened my drawer to my desk. I had tampons in there, Tampax in there,
Feminine products.
or whatever you want to stuff up in there. And
Oh,
then I had
Lord Jesus.
some Midol and pain. And I said, "Now here, take this and get your square ass on that plane." They thought I was the meanest thing ever.
Ooh. You're like, not
I
today,
did not.
not today,
so
not today,
not
not
so
today.
Donna. So you did speak about, which is true. So you got to have a profile. So profile basically means in a civilian sector, you need to have something noted in your medical chart that says that you have a restriction, that you can't lift
Right.
5 pounds or you can't go to the 12-mile road march because of XYZ. And so,
Yes.
but then you did have people, even when I was in, I agree with you. You had people, just like in the civilian sector, who abuse a situation, and therefore it, unfortunately, it furthers the sexism or
Stereotype.
discriminate. Correct. And so, and male or female, because and then it's a negative thing with the military too, because you're never supposed to be broken, you're never supposed to be hurt. You better carry your soldier to your left or your right. You better be able to jump even though your feet and your knees hurt. You're supposed to do all of these things beyond the pain that you feel. So there's a piece that we need to acknowledge true pain, but we also need to be able to fairly identify people who are abusing the system. And that's in civilian sector and in the military sector. It's just that it really makes it hard for women who are trying to make strides for women in a male dominant space, which is the planet. And it just makes it hard for us to go back, because like you said, Donna, you and those before you and that came after you have all paved the way for the rest of us to even be able to get into the military, for one, to be able to go to combat, to be able to be in jump schools. And, you know, I was in 82nd Airborne, wear that beret, and to know that you're going to be in rapid deployment and you're going to be out there in the front lines. So a lot of women made those sacrifices and contributions, and they get overlooked because of sexism, or because somebody feels as though, well, she's a woman, what she has done does not equate to what a man has done, and that is the furthest from the truth. So that's my soapbox right there.
So Miss Donna, how many jumps do you think you had over your career?
It's over 100.
Okay.
So
that's great.
Maybe 150.
Maybe
And I say maybe because it's hard to keep up.
Okay.
When you are on jump status, you have to jump every 3 months to get earn your active duty pay.
Okay.
But when I was an instructor and we had students coming through, we had a jump every week. And then I became a jump master.
Now, what's a jump master?
Okie dokie.
Go ahead, girl.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
You didn't know that. I thought you knew that, Kat. A jump master is when you are in charge of the aircraft and you put the people out of the aircraft.
Okay.
That's a specialized training. When you finish jump master school, you get a different badge with a star on the top that identifies you as being a jump master. And you have to have so many night jumps, so many equipment jumps, so, you know, in order to qualify. Well, I would have gotten my master blaster, which is the wings with the star and a wreath around it, but I needed 2 more night jumps.
And what happened that you didn't get it?
What happened is I got transferred out, and they were thinking about taking me off of jump status because I had hurt my spine pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get a chance to take those two night jumps, and so I didn't get the highest award. Doesn't make any difference, all it is a reef. You still do the same job.
Okay. Right.
You have to carry a knife in your boot, and tell people to come to the aircraft. You stand in the door. Need that knife, because if the static line gets hooked up on that door, you're looking out. You have to take that knife and cut that static line.
Oh, wow.
Or otherwise they're hanging out on the outside of the plane, just hanging there, and that could kill them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So jump master. Go ahead, Kat.
I want to ask you one thing, maybe a couple things. I know I don't want to keep you because but one, tell us how long I think you already said how long you've been married already and you have family and so forth. But can you speak to what you're doing now?
Yeah. I am a farmer.
Yeah.
Not just a farmer. What kind of farmer are you?
I am a poultry farmer, and now I am keeping goats. And
wow.
Keeping the goats for mainly now goat milk. And I'm going to probably increase my herd. But yep, I'm doing poultry. I've been doing that about 5 years, and now I've started with the goats, and I am partnering with the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
So are you still farming? Are you farming in Michigan?
No, I'm farming right here in Loganville.
All right. Okay. I didn't know.
Yes. So
Loganville,
when everybody
Georgia.
Loganville, Georgia. So when everybody was paying those $8 or $13 for eggs, y'all can go right to the local egg lady. Tell everybody, how can they get some of your eggs, Miss Donna?
Well, they can come here to the farm, which is the best thing to do, because especially in the summertime, taking my eggs off farm, I have to have a special container. They have to stay cool. Then I have to have tables, and I got to set up. So it's much
where's
easier.
The farm located?
It's in Loganville. It's on Skyland Drive between Pate Road and Temple Johnson.
So do you have an address and a telephone number so she can put it on the screen for our viewers? Take your time. We got you, Miss Donna. Look.
Yeah. My address is 3422 Skyland Drive, Loganville 30052. I'm 2 miles from South Gwinnett High School.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, same street.
And what's the phone number? Anyone interested in calling you to order?
Okay. My landline number is 678-336-9031.
Okay, and that's the number. Well, that's the number you want people to call for business, right? That's the only number they need.
Well,
678?
Yes, 678-336-9031.
Because we don't want to give them too much. If people start calling you all day on we don't want to give them the back phone number.
There you go. There you go. So, and then once they come here, I can talk to them and put them in my contacts and what have you. We can decide what we're going to do about that. I accept cash, Zelle, and Venmo.
All right.
Now, during the pandemic, when eggs were so high, my prices were pretty low because I realized that people need to eat. Yes. They needed good nutrition. So I didn't charge much. So I sort of wasn't breaking even. But that was my goal. My goal was to make sure people get healthy food.
Amen.
Now, since the pandemic, I have to, my eggs, do I need to say the price?
You can say whatever you want to say. This your
okay. Well, for a dozen regular medium large eggs is $6.50. Now, for my large, extra large, and jumbo, and I get jumbo eggs like this.
Oh wow. Now are they brown eggs?
Well, my hens lay all color. They
Okay.
lay pink and white and green and blue
Mm,
and turquoise and all
mm,
different color brown. Yeah. So I have all different breeds of chickens.
okay.
Now, the larger eggs are only $1 more, $7.50.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't like taking people to the bank or raking them over the coals, but I still have to make enough to keep
Profit.
operation expense.
Well, let me add that when I did buy eggs, I would buy organic eggs, and my family would look at me because I would spend between $4 to $6 on eggs. So, in my opinion, hearing your prices, in my opinion, is very market. What am I trying to say? It's
Fair.
what I would use. It's
Market
fair
rate.
market value. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Lord Jesus.
Okay.
It's fair
Well,
market value. It's
and
fair
Now,
market
also
value.
too, when I buy eggs, I buy cage free,
Mhm.
vegetarian fed, free range. Like I'm looking for those things because I don't want to contribute to the
I'm taking my hat off.
She hot.
I don't want to
Oh,
contribute to
girl.
the mass production and the abuse
Yep.
of of animals. And so
Hmm.
and I've seen how the mass production of eggs is done, and I don't want to support that.
That's
So
right.
Well, I
That's
don't blame you, but I do have something to say to you both. Marketing. When I was in college, I took marketing
hmm
and how marketing is done, how they use words and phrases to fool
mhm,
you. Now you say
yes.
cage free, organic, and all that. There's no such thing. There is no such thing. When they
You
say
think so?
when they say cage free,
mhm,
they mean cage free, but they're kept in a warehouse. They're in they're squeezed in next to one another. There's a conveyor belt that goes down in front of them. All they get is grain, and their feet and legs become deformed because they
Mm,
never get to stand up or run around.
mm,
mm.
They keep the lights on all the time because chickens lay by the light.
yeah.
To me, that's cruel. Now,
Absolutely.
they tell you, they say organic. Mm-mm. What's organic? Look up
Mm,
organic. What
okay.
is that? Okay. Now you said, Miss Karen, you said that just grain and no. What did you say? You said something about no
Vegetarian fed.
vegetables.
Because some of the
My
larger producers, the animals are in large facilities where they the carcasses are left in there, and the birds eat each other. And so anyway,
yeah, and
when at all possible, I try to buy locally for eggs.
yeah,
I don't eat
and
eggs myself. I'm a vegan, but my husband still eats eggs. And so when I'm purchasing eggs, I'm very conscious about the condition of the animal because I am vegan.
mhm.
Hmm.
Well, you've got a point there, and you're right. When they have these large facilities and have a bunch of animals crammed in there, and people need to really do their research about
Mhm.
that. But cage free does not mean that it's treated properly.
Okay.
It's a
So I
play.
look
It's
Duly
a
noted.
it's a play
so
on words.
on words.
Now,
I
I
feel
will.
too because when people say hot, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off, girl.
No, that's okay. What I was gonna say before I lose train of thought, because I'm old, what I was gonna say is meat. My chickens get plenty of meat.
Mm.
Hmm.
Chickens eat meat.
Okay.
They are descendants of dinosaurs, and they eat meat, and they need it. They need that protein, so those eggs are rich in vitamins. And I also feed my chickens raw fish. Now, what that raw fish does, it raises the vitamin E and B and lowers the cholesterol.
What?
So, yeah. So when I decided to do this, I didn't know anything about it. I said I might as well do it right. And also, my birds are tested by the state of Georgia.
Okay.
The poultry lab comes out and takes blood samples from each of my birds to make sure that they have no disease, and that's every 6 months.
Okay.
Wow. So we don't even know if people doing that to make sure we buy a child. Look, I looked up the word organic, and the dictionary from Oxford says related to or derived from living matter. Option number 2, produced or involving production without the use of chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, and other artificial agents. So what's the play on that word, Ms. Donna?
Well, you have to, when you buy chicken feed, you want to buy non-GMO.
Okay.
Non-GMO. Now, there is chicken feed out there. It's cheaper, and a lot of your larger facilities will feed them chicken feed that's GMO. I feed my chicken feed non-GMO.
Okay.
I mean, my chicken's non-GMO feed, meat bird feed sometimes because it's got a lot of protein in it. They get a lot of oregano because oregano is a natural antibiotic.
Okay.
Okay, it's people can even do it. I did that during COVID. I had oregano oil and I put it in some boiling water and breathe it in. Because oregano oil is a natural antibiotic, and I give it to my birds.
Okay.
And they get lots of fruit, watermelon, blueberries, grapes. They get apples, pears. They get that. They get fresh vegetables. I go to the farmers market once a month to give them fresh vegetables because they have to have greens. They get mealworms. They get Japanese beetles. They get all kinds of things that gives them more protein.
Got you.
Okay. So I know one thing: when a person comes to your farm to learn more about your products, you will give them a good education, and that's really important. I'm loving it. You
Absolutely.
Stuff right here, honey.
Yeah, because I've gotten an education. Well, Miss Donna, what do you do before we close out? What do you do for your self-care? I know that you I read in your bio that you are a ceramic artist. So what do you do for your self-care, for your downtime?
Well, I don't do the ceramic artist anymore because when I got real sick, I didn't think I was going to live. I got real sick for 2.5 years, and I had a ceramic business. I had a custom ceramic arted business. I had 5 kilns. I had about $50,000 worth of equipment.
Oh my!
People would come to me. I'd do weddings, anything, make little things.
Okay.
Well, when I got sick, I had to give all of that up. But all of us in our family for generations are artists. So now what I'm doing is acrylic pouring. And that's either acrylic or oils or whatever. So I'm remodeling my basement right now. That's where my art studios are going to be.
Nice. So you do art.
And
everybody. And Kat knows my daughter has got some of the most unique. You need to do a podcast on her. She's got the most unique art you have never seen in your life.
Well, I'm gonna say this because I know we have to wrap it up. But your daughter did a portrait of who? Say that briefly.
She did a portrait of Tyler Perry and Stacey Abrams.
Yes.
what's that other girl? Then that girl is saying she did. Oh Jesus Christ! I can't even think.
Houston.
The girl that played in Hidden Figures.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, and she actually has a piece of my daughter's art.
Oh,
She lives
wow.
here. On one is she's a singer too. So
Okay.
look, that's what happens when you talk to old person. Okay.
So, we will definitely have to take a look at
You got me choking, girl. I'm sorry.
Look, anybody that comes out here to get eggs from me, if they bring their kids, I'll let them see the chickens. They can go look at the goats, you know. So
Janelle Monet.
Janelle Monet, she's got a piece of my daughter's art. So, I like to educate people about nature and the kids and stuff. So anyone that comes, they can look at the birds and see where the eggs are coming from. I don't care.
Lovely. And again, if you are interested in getting either goat milk or eggs from Miss Donna, you can contact her at 678-336-9031. And she is located in Loganville at 3422 Skyland Drive. But give her a call before heading out.
I know. Look, y'all
Make
got me
sure
choking.
make sure I'm here.
Yeah, make sure she's home. Kat, you about to choke?
I know, right? I'm sitting up here trying to put it on mute. I want to tell everybody, yes, go by her, call her first. Make sure y'all please subscribe also to Conversations with Karen and Kat, because we are working very hard to bring you awesome content. Go to KarenandKat.com or hop on over to YouTube and subscribe and share and let us know what you think. We're bringing you history.
Oh, I did that. That's the wrong thing. I'll do this.
So yeah, comment in the comment section, because we'd love to hear from you and love to know what are your thoughts about any of the shows that we bring.
Yes, and if you have ideas for new shows.
Yeah. And Ms. Donna, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Like, you've given us a history lesson, a chicken lesson.
Goats.
Goats.
Yes.
And as always, to our listeners, we want to thank you for joining us on today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.